let's move on and let's see how the internet did react to the game yesterday, starting off with DXN THFC saying this is Bissouma, Bentancur and Sarr versus Liverpool. This is literally what it was like. It was just...
The stewards are probably too close to each other, I think. Bentancur, Sarr and Bissouma were...
So easy to bypass that midfield yesterday. It was actually embarrassing just watching it.
Yeah.
Hard to take.
It was really hard. And we had no semblance of control. We just allowed Liverpool to control the game. And it was tough. It was really tough to watch.
Spurs Connect saying Tottenham Hotspur chairman Daniel Levy has fallen asleep at Anfield while his football club is in ruins and has won one trophy in 24 years.
I mean, our chairman is there sleeping at the game. I mean, what is our football club? What are we? This guy, he's supposed to be a control freak and he's there sleeping.
Daniel Levy, man, get out of my club. Seriously.
Get a coffee at least or something. Come on. It's a semi-finals. Maybe it shows how much he cares about the cups.
Football Confidential saying generational talent being groomed at Tottenham. Not since the great Barca sides have we seen such a group of talented, mature together like this. And if you look at this,
yeah, it's maybe the tagline's maybe not what I took from that graphic, but I think the graphic is definitely telling of just how much we've had to lean on these teenagers this season. Yeah. That's probably the what I take from it, because it's almost double second place the minutes, which is crazy to think about. Like, you know, that is what we're forced to do at the moment. And, you know, obviously it's great we're giving, you know, youth those minutes and young players, but it's also, you know, how much can you rely on such young players and expect kind of consistent results? It's tough.
Yeah, that's true. But also, on top of that, like, when we asked to rely on the senior players, they're a lot worse than these teenagers. So maybe we need more teenagers, because the senior players are terrible.
Yeah, but I think again there's probably more reasons for that. But I think when you're asking teenagers to play this much, it's crazy. It's more than, as you said, look, it's more than double second place, and even for more after second place, and then Southampton, obviously they're one of the worst in the league. It's like it's treble Chelsea, and then after that, you know, it's like you're getting into 3 starts of Villa. So, you know, we're way out in front of anyone when it comes to using players 18 or under this season. It's crazy.
But that's what happens when you predominantly sign teenagers.
That's also true. But also, I think obviously it's the injury crisis. I think.
Yeah, that as well. But I mean, we did predominantly sign teenagers in the summer. That's the reality. We didn't sign experienced heads apart from Solanke to come in. We signed only teenagers. So what are we sitting here expecting?
Well, I don't think the plan was for them to play this much, I think.
Yeah, well. Alex THFC saying expectations were low, but holy F. Yeah, look at that. 0.18 expected goals to their 3.82. 26 of their shots to our 5. And they had 10 shots on target and we had 0.
Yeah, and you can see that shot map. I know it's kind of cut off at the top, but you can just see how many shots in and around the penalty. I think we had 1 shot in the box. I think it was at that Son chance that hit the bar. That was the only one we had.
2. It was the Spence one and the Son one.
And look at the angle. Look how tight angles they were. That's just, obviously, that's how well Liverpool were able to keep us out, but also how we just weren't able to get any sort of generate any sort of good quality opportunity. You can see that from the shots we were having. And look how close their shots are to our goal. It's just, yeah.
Tottenham feed says men against boys, the same stat, but just with a picture of Ange Postecoglou looking down and out pretty much on the sidelines. MR says, oi, Van Dijk literally tried to knock Richarlison out. I mean, I don't understand how this wasn't looked at and this wasn't being given punishment. It's madness.
Yeah, I guess
only at Anfield you get those decisions.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is, I guess he
knows what he's doing there.
I think he has a look at him, and you can definitely see he knows what he's doing. But I think one of the things apparently VAR looks at with these incidents is if the guy has a fist when he's making the elbow, and he didn't. So maybe that implies that it was kind of accidental.
I'm sorry, but that is the most stupid thing I've heard.
That's it. That's how they judge.
I know. Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. But I'm saying that's the most stupid thing I've heard. Because then, if players know that, then you can just do it and just not clench your fist. It's just ridiculous.
No, because if you're doing it with aggression, you will have a clenched fist to try and get that power.
But he did do that with regression, though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when it in slow-mo...
But in real time, I said the same thing. It's not just the slow-mo that looked bad. In real time, it looked bad as well.
I think if he's sent off, obviously I don't think it's overturned. I think he's a lucky boy. But I think VAR, I guess, just was enough plausible deniability when it comes to was it accidental or not. They just erred on the side of caution. So I think he's a lucky boy. He could have very well been gone after that.
Blue Deer just giving us a clip of Lucas and Archie yesterday. They're the ones going over to clap the fans, and they had to pull some of the more senior players to go and do that as well.
Yeah, agreed. Which there should be the senior players dragging them there, but they're the ones obviously taking the lead there, it looks like.
Madness. Charlie Eccleshare said it felt for a while like the Carabao Cup was a bit of a safety net for Ange, that it would be harsh to sack him while they were potentially so close to winning it. With it gone, and depending on what happens at Villa, seems like it all comes down to the Europa League. Then it goes on and he says, and whether Spurs' best chance of winning it is keeping him or replacing him. With the latter, you think who else would that replacement realistically be? Ryan Mason? Anyone else? And then there's the ongoing question of injuries, not just how important they are, but how much they are the head coach's fault. Both of which make everything so hard to evaluate. My personal view remains that makes most sense for Ange to see out the season, but Sunday feels huge.
When would the fourth round or fifth round if we win? We're going to the fifth if we win on Sunday.
Yeah, this is the fourth round.
So
yeah,
when would that be? Would that be in March? I'm guessing.
I'll tell you right now. So the fifth round is 1st of March.
Right, so that's not even that far away if we win. I think Sunday obviously is big because it just keeps another avenue of a trophy there. Just a possibility, and we need as many avenues as possible, that's for sure. But of course, if we lose, and it's literally just Europa, all our eggs will be in the Europa League basket at that point. Obviously, it becomes very, very tough, and with each defeat in the league, it's good. It's the Europa League will grow in importance, and the noise will grow. So Sunday I said before Thursday yesterday. If we can get at least through one of those cup ties, it just keeps the possibility of something happening this season alive. But yeah, if we go back on both, it's tough. It's going to be very, very tough for Ange to justify staying in. But it's going to be.
Do you think he will get sacked?
No, I don't.
The end of the season, because I don't.
Oh, do I think in general, yeah. Or you ask me if we lose on Sunday?
Well, both.
I think if we were to go out Europa League early, then yeah, I think there's a good chance he gets sacked. I think if we get to like the semi-final, right, and by the time we lose that, so let's say we lose that semi-final or something, then it's going to be so close to the end of the season anyway, he probably just sees it out. But like, if we lose to, let's say if we get knocked down the last 16 Europa League, it'll still be March time. I mean, not saying that sacking him would save, we could do anything in the league, but maybe they might feel there's no point keeping him because there's no chance of him staying here next season, so we might as well just cut ties now. They might feel that way, I'm saying. But, yeah.
Kev Stewart says, yes, Liverpool are good. Yes, we have injuries. But to look that blunt, that clueless, that disorganised and lack any fight in a semi-final is unforgivable. No shots on target. No, I'm not entertained. Get him out, for goodness sake. And, yeah, I mean, a lot of that is pretty much... how I feel right now. I feel definitely about with the result and performance. I share those feelings. I don't share the feeling about get him out, for goodness sake. I don't feel that way, but all the other stuff I do share that, and it was just it's such a depressing watch. It was like we were just waiting to get beaten yesterday. Yeah. It was like it was only going one way, really, wasn't it? That game, the way we were going, and considering for weeks we've been gearing up to this game, a lot of focus has been in this game, and to put in the performance we did, it's hard to take. Pretty much since the first leg, everyone's been saying it's all about this game, it's all about this game, it's all about this game. And then that's the kind of performance we put in. The Brentford Hive saying, how was this not given a red card? I mean, we've been through that, but 100% spot on. Henry Winter says, where was the Spurs player putting in a challenge like Bradley did on Son? it's a mentality issue within Tottenham Hotspur. No ability. It's been like that for too long. The meek shall inherit the earth, but they shan't win trophies. It's the culture that needs to change, not the manager.
I mean, partly true. Obviously, you could argue the manager is the one that instills the culture, but I think the culture's been. I mean, how many times have we had a performance like that? You know, in a big game, in a big away game, like under various different managers. It's not the first time we've seen that, even in big games like that. So, you know, I understand the sentiment, but also if the only person that can change that is the manager, really. I mean, you could argue maybe the chairman as well, but that obviously comes with making different decisions from the very top. But in terms of the only person who can instill that in the dressing room is Ange. That's the reality.
But he needs help.
Yeah, he definitely does need help, and he needs time to instill that. And, you know, this is a problem that's a decade-long problem, you know. Even under Poch, we had performances like this in big games. Not maybe there were certain games we did give more of a fight in away games, but we definitely had those kind of showings as well.
Yeah, but I mean, like in Poch, I go back to like the semi-finals under Pochettino, right? And I mean, the ones that we lost, I mean, that Chelsea one at Wembley, like we were the better team that day. We just ended up, you know, getting sucker punched forth. We conceded 4 goals that day, but we put in a really good display.
Like, we were a much better team back then, though.
Yeah, that's also true.
But as well, you know, you got to remember, for example, like the semi-final of the Carabao, we in his last season or second to last season, we beat Chelsea 1-0 at Wembley, and then we lost 2-0 away, and we were all 2-1 actually. We got a late goal and we went to penalties, but we were very poor in that game. I remember, like it's been. Obviously, we've never been that poor.
Trippier scored the own goal. That wasn't.
No, it wasn't that game. Wasn't that game? But I think Kante scored. I think through Gazaniga's legs. But anyway, we're going down memory lane. But I'm just saying, it is true. This has been a problem in these kind of games, not just under Ange, under various different managers. So I do agree. I do partly agree with him, but also I kind of disagree that you can't lay blame at the manager, because I also think, you know, it's a manager's responsibility to instill that mentality. And I understand it needs time and it's not going to happen. But like the fact that it's not there, like Ange has to take a bit of responsibility that it's not there yet. I'm not saying like he should be sacked over it. I'm just saying the fact that it isn't there yet, he has to take some responsibility for that.
Pro Tottenham says, this man does not inspire the players. Everyone can come out and say, oh, but the injuries, or come out and saying we're playing 18-year-olds. But this has been going on since last season. This isn't a case of 3 months we've hit bad form. This has been consistently bad. It's been this consistently bad since last season. It won't get better. So many are waiting on the next game, and then the game after that, and so on. Just to see it improve, and it isn't. A semi-final, he got butchered 4-0 and didn't even get a shot on target. Outclassed and tactically outdone by a manager in Arnie, who's leaps and bounds ahead of Ange. Ange must go. You can't just keep defending him just because you despise the board. It's all going wrong on the football pitch.
Look, I've been through so many times that I don't think it's been this consistently bad, even though results haven't been good for a while. I don't think the performances have been as bad as they have been consistently as they have been over the last 3 months. I think the last 3 months are particularly bad, I would argue.
Yeah, but also, you look at the back end of last season when we had all those big games. I mean,
yeah,
we lost like 5. You know, in the big games, Ange has been able to pull out certain performances potentially at home, and you know, the Man City game and stuff on the odd occasion. But all in all, it has been pretty bad.
In the I mean, in the bigger games? What are you talking? Yeah. When we come up against teams better than us and we're going for it, and a lot of the times we have been outdone. Arnie, you could say he outclassed him tactically. I don't disagree with that, but also he has a much better and a much fresher team, and it's going to be a lot difficult. I think if we swap the managers yesterday, is the result too different? I don't know, to be honest. I still think we lose. So I don't think it's completely fair to say yesterday was all about tactics and all that kind of stuff. But obviously that comes into it.
Yeah, we just don't know though, do we?
I just don't think it would. I think same players in terms of injuries and all that kind of stuff, and same like freshness levels. If you just swap the managers yesterday, is there a different result? I don't think so. I mean, maybe we lose by less, but I still think we lose.
I mean, you look at Liverpool last season were able to win a cup final with their youth team, essentially. You know what I mean? We can't muster up performances like that with the half and half team.
Again, different circumstance. They actually they ended the game with the youth team, but by and large, most of that game was played with a strong team. And then near the end, they changed it a lot and brought on a lot of younger players, and they ended up winning in extra time 1-0 through Van Dijk.
Yeah, but what Klopp was able to do is use a lot more of the kind of youth players that are maybe not going to be in line for the first team, where Ange did that a bit in the Elfsborg game, but on top of that, he's overplaying a lot of the more experienced players and maybe the Bergvals and the Greys, where actually Klopp in that cup run, I think maybe in the semi-final as well, but more in the cup final, he just used players just based on energy levels, where Ange isn't really doing that.
Yeah, and maybe it would be different. Well, probably would be. Yeah, maybe he'd better off doing the opposite. Yeah.
And the one time he did do it, it worked for him against Elfsborg.
Yeah.
Sam Sibs MUFC says, honestly, feel so bad for Son. He's never won anything with his club. Been such a top quality player for so long and deserves much more. Must be really hurting him now. He'll know his best years have gone and his career is in its final stages. And that was Son at half time, at full time.
Oh, it's hard watching with all these bad defeats on, like, just at the end of games at the moment. It's just like knowing that, you know, he is 32. With each one of these losses, that's another trophy chance for him at Tottenham down the drain. And it's tough to look at. It's getting tough to look at.
Spurs Insider says, you can talk about the manager, you can talk about the injuries, you can talk about tiredness. Last night was about the players not playing for the badge. Simple as. Most embarrassing I've been to support this club in a very long time.
Yeah, it was an embarrassing display, especially on a big stage. I think that's fair.
HLTCO is responding to Jamie Carragher's comments on Spurs yesterday, saying it's Tottenham. When do Tottenham ever win big games? And he was very.
He went on a rant.
Yeah, he was very critical of Spurs yesterday, and
he said whenever there's a game, that big game where you thought you need a big performance from Tottenham, when do they ever pull it out?
Yeah.
When do they ever give?
Which he's not wrong. To be fair, he's not wrong. And the response to this from HLTCO says, this feels extremely reductive considering we're dealing with multiple injuries. Are away to the best team in Europe, had already won the first leg 1-0 to give themselves a chance, beat United to get to the semi-final, and City to get there, having won 4-0 at the Etihad in November too.
Yeah, I mean, those things are true. We are going through an injury crisis and we are playing the best team in Europe, but and we did beat United and City twice this season.
How we won the first leg?
Huh?
How we won the first leg?
Yeah, but the reality is that it's probably the worst City that we've seen in Pep Guardiola's tenure, and it's also probably the worst Man United that we've ever seen in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's also one of the worst Tottenhams we've seen in current form. But look, I think that's true. I think that's also comes into the context as well. But I think when it comes to Carragher's point about when do Tottenham ever turn up in these big games, I guess I think it's slightly, I wouldn't say harsh, because obviously we haven't won any trophies, but we have over the he said the last one I can remember is Ajax, he said. I just think we have pulled out some big performances since then, like some big games where we've pulled surprises. It's not like just always losing in these situations.
Yeah, but we're talking about games that really matter. Semi-finals, finals.
Well, we haven't won any trophies, so obviously.
So that's what he's alluding to.
We
though,
didn't win the
he?
trophy when we beat Ajax either.
No, but that was a special moment. That was a semi-final of the Champions League. You know what I mean? Something that we've never been there before. Like Carabao Cup semi-finals and finals and FA Cup semi-finals and all this. We've been there.
Beat Brentford in the semi-final in 2020.
Yeah, he's right. Carragher on the most part, 9 out of 10 times is right in this situation.
Yeah, hard to disagree, to be honest. I mean, but yeah, I don't disagree with him. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like an Ange problem, that specifically, but I think as a look, we're Spurs fans. This is the life as a Tottenham fan. We know that in these games a lot of the time we do kind of just buckle.
Yeah, and well, that Brentford game as well, when Brentford win the championship.
Yeah.
Matt Law says some of the criticism of Tottenham last night today is justified, but I find it odd how Summers completely refuses to acknowledge that Tottenham had their first choice goalkeeper, centre back, left back, and striker out, and lost their second striker to injury. It's no surprise they lost, and no one's saying it's a surprise we lost. I think that the anger comes in the manner of the defeat, and with all the injuries and everything like that, I don't think accounts for the manner of some of the performances on that pitch yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But also, I think that's fair.
Daily Hotspur also responding to Carragher, saying, "What an unbelievably lazy piece of punditry from Carragher. Liverpool are the best team in the country. Tottenham are missing half the squad, including everyone that we're missing. The Spurs players who are fit look absolutely shattered. This is such a cheap shot." But it's not a cheap shot, though, because with injuries and without injuries, we've seen these insipid displays in big games, no matter who the manager is.
Yeah, but is it a cheap shot to do it when we're playing the best team in Europe in the circumstances that we're under?
No, I don't think it is, because it's a common theme.
Yeah, but can we expect to win that game under those circumstances?
No, but like I keep saying, we can expect to see us have a bit more about us in the game.
Yeah, but that's not the point. He's talking about winning and going through and getting a big result in a big game.
Mm-hmm.
And to say off the back of that, like that was evidence of any sort of kind of not being able to win a big game, is that just a reductive point under those circumstances?
But it's just carrying on a theme, though, isn't it? It's just carrying on a theme. No matter the injuries, no matter the situation of that particular game, it just carries on a theme at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, but he's talking about analysing that game, and he's talking about, Tottenham never win the big games. Like, off the back, I know, but off the back of that, like, is that why we lost? Because we never win the big games. Is that why we lost?
That's
like,
not why we lost, but we do never win the big games. Yeah, but
that's kind of what he's suggesting.
But he's not only just talking about that game, is he?
No, but he's there to analyse that game, right?
Yeah, but he's not only talking about that game.
Yes, but we lost that game, right? Against the best team in Europe.
Yeah.
And he's kind of saying, well, they lost because they never win these games. That's why they lost. And that's why people are saying it's kind of a reductive analysis.
I mean, there's fair point to it about everything, but again, it goes back because, yeah, look, I get the point, and I do get the point, but the reality is it does just carry on the same theme, and no matter the situation going into the game, and yes, you could argue that it's a cheap shot for this specific game, but the reality is it's Tottenham Hotspur.
That is also true.
Christina Zandez says, dreaming of sweet money, I bet.
Yeah, but sweet dreams for Daniel Levy, I bet. Yeah, for sure.
Jamie Redknapp says, I cannot remember a team in my lifetime who have gone down with less of a fight than Tottenham did tonight. Not a single shot on target in the semi-final second leg when you're trying to change the course of your history. I feel sorry for these young players. The manager, Jed Spence, played about 14 different positions tonight. I've never seen anything like it. There's been some lows for Tottenham this season against Everton, Palace, Leicester, Ipswich, but that scoreline is just horrendous. And Sam W1T responds saying, it sounds nice to boil it down to passion, but it's just not real. We were physically and technically outclassed tonight. The squad is all too aware of their physical limits, and it leads us to drop deeper and deeper in desperation. A sad version of what we want to be at the moment.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think that was most of the problem, to be honest. As much as the other things are also true about, did we want it enough, all those kind of things. I think if I to portion a lot of the reasons why yesterday happened, I think that was probably the main one.
Carly on your Spurs, just going back to this with Virgil and Rishi.
Yeah, he's saying,
you know what you did, and he did know what he did as well.
Yeah, he knew, and Rishi was not shy in telling him.
But yeah, that is it. That is how the internet did react to the sorry display from Tottenham yesterday in the Carabao Cup.